Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Vibing with Sleazy, the podcast. This is season 6, episode 2. And I want to thank everybody for downloading, tuning in, and listening. I did the premiere episode this past week, which was a lot of fun. And it was a solo episode. So a lot of people tuned in and downloaded. I was checking the numbers. So I really appreciate everybody rocking with me after my long hiatus break that I usually do between seasons. This episode today, I do have a special guest. This special guest has been on my show many of times. I actually think every season, so I have to thank this guest for coming on each season. But my special guest is live from Hendersonville, Tennessee, Christeen Hernandez. So welcome to the show.
Hey.
So thank you for coming on. A lot of the people that listen, I have a lot of regulars. They call you the horse girl or Miss Equestrian. I really got a kick out of talking to a few of my friends who really like your episodes. And my one buddy who doesn't know shit about animals or horses, he was talking to me and he's like, dude, every time I listen to one of her, he's like, I learned something randomly about a horse or something. So you've always gotten good feedback. So I appreciate that. And again, thank you again for coming on. So the first thing I have to say is congratulations again. Christine got married this past year in 2024. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, we did the smart thing of eloping.
Yeah,
No big wedding.
yeah. And so you end up going to Florida to do it in the summer. I
Mhm.
was invited but couldn't go due to not being able to get off, but I did get to come to the celebration in October.
Mhm.
I want to talk about, since I wasn't there, let's go over that trip a little bit. How was that wedding trip in Florida? I know you go to Florida a lot, but how was that different than others?
Well, it wasn't so much different, and we didn't treat it differently. That's the thing. We just kept it low key like we always do. It was still the same. Weather was great. It was hot, which is fine. My mom came down for a little bit, which is fine because she can hang. It's whatevs. Um, but it was, I mean, we just treated it normal. We're not like super celebratory, I guess you can say. We're non-traditional.
Hmm.
So we like to keep things low key, relaxing, and stress free, which is why we go down there. So there's no reason to stress it up or anything like that.
Yeah, and that makes it a lot better. You hear these stories about bridezillas and grooms freaking out and everybody
Yeah.
stressing and overpaying and doing crazy stuff. So I think you all did it very smart. And I wanted to ask, so who ended up marrying you all?
So our condo owner where we stay, Mike, he married us. And he's a good friend. He actually bought that townhome that we stay in, condo, townhome, whatever you want to call it, when we were staying there back in like 2000, maybe it was like 2017 or something like that. And his wife came up and brought us a bottle of wine saying, we just bought this place. Um, and then since then, we've been staying there every year except for during the pandemic. And then 2021, we stayed somewhere else because we booked too late. But they just became good friends of ours. So he actually is ordained to marry in Florida because he does beach weddings. That's part of their job.
Oh, okay.
So, and he did that, and it was great. Um, he recently lost his leg, had to
Oh,
have that amputated due to an injury he had going on. So my mom was there, thankfully, to help him come off the wheelchair and help him get onto the chair.
yeah.
So that was convenient. But he's a good dude. He's very good, very positive, and has a great attitude, and has just become a friend to us.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, I got ordained years ago here in Kentucky. I did one of those online ordains
Yeah.
for Rob Jurdeck. So I have the certificate. I haven't married anybody yet, but that Rob Jurdeck episode of Fantasy Factory is still one of my favorites when he marries his sister and makes the brother-in-law kiss the grizzly bear with it.
Yes, I know. It's
that,
crazy.
that episode was great. So I'm glad y'all had a good time on that. What was really fun, I got to come down in October. We
Yeah.
did the celebration the day after my birthday, and that was a great time. Jama came. your family from Canada was there, which was a lot of fun. I really hit it off with the Canadians. Shout out to Robin. I hope Robin will listen to this episode. We love you, Robin,
And Tara.
and Tara. Yeah, shout out to Tara. But Robin, he's an OG. He's the man, and he's a lot of fun to talk to. I got really talking to him about sports, and we end up breaking down football, Vince Carter, the Raptors. So that was a lot of fun. Before we get into your trip out west, I do want to talk about. I know that you didn't get to catch a lot of it, but last night, Texas played Ohio State, which is Christine and her father's two teams.
Yep.
Christine has ties to Ohio and, of course, ties to Texas. And so that game was a little bit difficult for her to choose a side on who she wanted to see.
I'm happy with who either one. I would have preferred Texas because they're my number one. I'm always going to be a Horns girl because
Yeah.
that's my home state. Even though Texas politically is a little fucked up, I'm still proud to represent H Town, aka Houston, or as Texas.
Yeah.
So,
And I knew that game was going to be crazy for you, and I watched it, and
but I'm happy for the Buckeyes.
yeah, it was good. Ryan Day, excuse me, the coach for the Buckeyes, he's had a kind of a rough patch. He gets a lot of hate because he's lost to Michigan and other teams, but him doing this is going to be big. And if he can secure the win in the national championship against Notre Dame, it'll be really big for him. And I know Columbus will go crazy. Now with Texas, they played.
We had a great season.
Yeah, they had a great season. First year in the SEC. I'm a Kentucky fan. I'm very supportive of the SEC, so I would have liked to see an SEC team go. I'm not a big fan of the coach, Sarkisian. He made some really bad decisions last night, and I do think I've said this from day one. Peyton Manning's nephew, Arch Manning, plays for Texas. He's the backup. I think if he would have played more than Ewers, it would have been a little bit better results. I know they still try to put Archie in, so but Archie's got a future. Texas has a future, and the SEC is always going to be relevant. So, and I'm also happy for Notre Dame. I'm not a fan of Notre Dame, but I did get to go to the campus a few years ago after a trip back from Michigan. It's just real historic and cool, and it's cool to see an independent school go do that because
Yeah, absolutely.
if you make it far in these playoffs, you get money from so you get millions of dollars to go back to the program or the school. So when it's an independent school, you don't have to give the money to a conference guy. You don't have to pay a bunch of little people. You can actually like keep the money. So happy for Notre Dame. I'm excited to see what happens. It's going to be a great game, and I love the college football playoffs. You know, college basketball's always had a playoff system. College football is just some random group in a room that pick a bunch of bowl games. And sometimes you're like, what bowl am I in? The Popeye Bowl? The Tony the Tiger Bowl? I mean, like, they all mean something in some way, but it's like
They're just running out of names.
I want to play in the playoffs. I don't want to play in the Tony the Tiger Bowl. But yeah, so that was cool to see. So Christine, her two teams did very well this year when it comes to college football and shit. College basketball, March Madness is right around the corner. It's crazy how
I don't follow basketball, you know
yeah.
that.
I know you're not a basketball girl, but yeah, I being from Kentucky, I always got to watch that. Kentucky's got a good team this year. Louisville's got a good team, so it's good to see both teams from this state being relevant again. Louisville was garbage for 2 years, and I'm not a Louisville fan, but it was just really sad to see. I mean, they won 8 games or something like that over 2 years. It's bad, but so I want to dive into your trip out west. So you went out west with your mom, and I wanted to first talk on the trip, and then I also want to talk about your love for national parks and some things that you've learned about the national
Mhm.
park system. So let's first start. Where did you go, and tell me about the trip.
So I didn't go too far west. We took a drive out to New Mexico and then the Panhandle of Texas to go to White Sands National Park as well as Guadalupe and Big Bend. Um, Basically, it was a 18-hour road trip. to New Mexico. And it took us through the entire state of Texas, starting from Texarkana all the way through, passing through Dallas and continuing into New Mexico on the southern side. Um, Very long. It was tiring because that night I went to a concert at the Ryman. I went and saw something corporate, which anyone who knew Drive Through Records or listened to emo, pop punk, or anything like that knows who they are. Well, they had a show in Nashville and we were going there. Well, that same night, my mom came and picked me up. It was about midnight to go or start the journey to Texas and New Mexico. And I was exhausted, but it going into Texas and New Mexico did not take too long. We had one hiccup. The car battery died at the Texas Welcome Center as we entered. Thankfully, a little Hispanic guy and his wife realized we needed a battery charge because I went over and asked them. And here he had his rechargeable battery ready.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, so he was like, yeah, you need a new battery. And we're like, okay, thank you. So basically, we had to go into Texarkana proper and we went to a Valvoline and got a new battery and continued on.
Okay.
Through Texas, you're going to see tons of oil rigs, like the big old grasshoppers that go up and down all over this part of Texas, because this area that we drove through was oil country. So you have tons of oil grasshoppers and you have tons of those dope ass windmills that you see for that generate electricity.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many out there. It was insane, but it was really cool to see and watch them like just turn. We got really close to a few and they're massive when you get up to them. So continuing, and then we got into New Mexico. And once you get into Western Texas and you start passing by all the windmills and grasshoppers, all that land is basically pasture for cows and horses.
Okay.
So it's a lot of just grassland and very small tree shrubs. And then as you keep going, you're converting into the desert and you're going to start seeing prickly pear cactuses, yucca plants, and all these other like desert plants. And then once you're in New Mexico, it's like, boom, desert.
Okay.
So the first part of the journey that we did was New Mexico. First, furthest west I've been, which is crazy. Let me tell you, there's absolutely zero humidity, which is great.
Yeah.
So it's hot, but you're not sweating, which is wild to think about. But there's not a lot of humidity. It was really nice. And when we went up to White Sands, White Sands was about 2 hours from where we were staying in the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So we drove up to White Sands, and the really cool thing to experience was we actually had to drive up through a little bit of a mountain range in New Mexico. So we literally were going from a desert to grassland to mountainous, like with pine trees. The temperature was like 15 degrees cooler than when it was when we started.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was crazy because my mom was like, feel it outside. And it was like, I looked at my phone and it said it was like 55 degrees out. And when we started our journey that way, it was like 90.
Oh my, that's a drastic change.
Well, it's just because you're going up a range, you know, it's just it's crazy and like there's pine trees and there's these little like cabins and stuff. And it was actually like lightly rainy, so it was like all misty. It was this really wild. And then as we came down the range, you started slowly going back into the desert.
That's interesting. So, and the thing about New Mexico, I'm going to be honest. There's a few states that I think most of us don't know a lot about. You know, I'll say New Mexico, Rhode Island for me. I'm trying to think of another one, maybe like Montana.
Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona. Like a lot of those states I don't know about. And you know, you feel like you learn more and more about them outside of the big cities. So with New Mexico, what did you feel like you learned about that state?
It's got terrain and it's not just all desert. There is actually forest. There's a forest. There's forest there. There are signs for bears. And, you saw your typical deer and stuff like that. So for New Mexico, it's not just a big state of desert like you saw on like Breaking Bad
Hmm.
or anything. Or you think about like Roswell. There is actually mountains and ranges and there's forest. In some areas they get snow up in those areas. So it's just like it's more than just a desert.
Do you feel like
Um,
is that a pretty populous state or is it very low populated? I'm not sure about it.
it just really depends. I think like in the area I was staying, I wouldn't say it's the most populated, but you look at Roswell and Albuquerque and they're pretty big and they have their own, big city systems and so does Santa Fe.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I think it's a good populated state, but the area that we were in was just a little bit more, it's more of a small town vibe
Gotcha.
versus like the big city vibe.
Well, that's cool.
Um,
That's really cool that it's so it's got all that because I think it's some place to really explore and it's a place, that I look forward to maybe visiting one day. I finally have realized I've reached 25 of the 50 and I know I got 25 more to go state-wise and that's one of them. And that's definitely a state I want to learn more about. And of course, Weird Al had the Albuquerque song back in the day, so
yeah.
I think that definitely made Albuquerque really relevant. But yeah, it's really cool to learn all about that. So let's talk about White Sands National Park. So, what is White Sands National Park for people listening?
So White Sands National Park it's a landmark where it's made, I can't remember the actual name of it, but it's a particular type of rock and it's not like sand that you find on a beach. Nothing like that. It looks like it. Like if you look at a picture, it literally looks like you're walking around on sand that you would think your foot would sink into, but it does not. Um, when you walk on the sand at White Sands, it's actually you just are stepping like you would step on regular ground. You
Ooh,
don't sink into it. And believe it or not, it's not even hot. The sand is not hot. So it was about 90, it was in the 90s when we went there, and it was warm out. Again, there's no humidity.
mhm.
So it wasn't like I was dying. I would highly recommend if you go, definitely bring your water. Water is very important. You want to suck down as much water as possible because of the dry heat.
Gotcha.
Um, and sunglasses. Definitely bring sunglasses because the sand will blind you. Um, it's very bright and I completely forgot my sunglasses and that's my own fault. So I had to borrow my mom's for a little bit so I could see.
Yeah.
But it's very unique. Um and it's a very dog friendly park actually. And I want to go back to White Sands and bring my dogs there because I see all these people letting their dogs run around. I'm like, they would love it. Turk loves running on sand as is, so he would just be like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And
And it's probably so soft on their paws and stuff too.
it is. And so actually I just found out the sand is called it's gypsum sand.
Okay.
So it's a soft mineral actually. And it's just something you have to see. It's almost like a different country out there.
Mm.
Because when you drive up to White Sands before you even hit the park and you're coming up the horizon, you can clearly see where White Sands National Park is because you just see how bright it is. And when you do drive there and you drive through the park, there is no road. You're driving on top of the sand. And
Oh,
it feels like you're driving on top of compacted snow. That's the best way I can describe it. Because when my mom was driving, she's like, I feel like I'm driving on snow. So
I wonder how slippery that is, or it's just smooth
it's not
snow.
slippery at all. It's got traction. But I'm
Wow.
just saying that's what it feels like, though. It just feels like compact snow that's been like driven over and over and over and over on.
That's really cool. I like that they don't have the no road thing. So you get the driving experience. Then when you get out of the vehicle, you get the walking and hiking experience. So
Yeah.
now we talked about this yesterday or the day before in our group text. So you said you saw some snakes out there.
Yeah. So not so much at White Sands. After White Sands, we drove to Guadalupe National Park in Texas, which is right on the border of New Mexico and Texas. And we did one night of camping there because I bitched about it too much. I am not about camping in a tent. I tried it. It's not for me. I know I did it in college. No, not anymore.
Well, when we did that, we did the tent at the Percy Priest with friends, and
I
yeah.
did it more than once, though. That's the thing. I did it more than once in college, but we were supposed to camp out 2 nights in Guadalupe, but it ended up camping out one night. So we did essentially 2 day hikes there, and we saw on one hike to Devil's Hall is what the hike trail was. We saw two little like baby, just little rat like black snakes
Mm,
cross the trail, and they kind of surprise you because you'll be stepping on it and you don't really see them, and they
yeah.
kind of slither out. But I mean, they were so little; they were little guys.
And you
They
saw
were
also those big like spiders, right? Big tarantulas.
yes. So to kind of sum up Guadalupe real quick, um, day hike we did about 7 miles on the first one. Not bad. Again, it was warm. Drink tons of water if you're hiking. I can't stress that enough. And we had bladders and backpacks, so we had plenty of water. And on that hike, like I said, it was about 7 miles, and it wasn't horrible. It was a you go to and then you come out.
Gotcha.
The big thing was there's this big old rock, and it basically looks like a hallway, and they call it Devil's Hall. Um, and then this sleepover, which was the night in the tent, which was horrible. Apparently, I kept snoring, and my mom kept waking me up, and I was uncomfortable. Her back hurt, my back hurt. um, we were going to try to attempt Guadalupe Mountain, which is the tallest peak in Texas. It is at 8,000. It's like 8,000 something feet. So it's pretty up there.
Yeah,
And
that is.
it's not an easy hike. So we started out, and I got about maybe a mile and a half in, or 2 miles, and my breathing, I just couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
couldn't. I couldn't. I was like, you know what? This is not going to work. I was pissed at myself because I wanted to make it, but my mom was like, "You're better off listening to your body," and so I did that and hiked my way back down.
Oh, 100%. If you feel anything like that, it's always important to listen to your body
Yeah,
first instead of over pushing it because you don't want to get too far and then you're like, well, shit, I don't know if I can turn around. So, um,
yeah,
but but
but
still, but still, you attempting it, that's the biggest feat of it all. I mean, that's awesome. You even attempted it.
and that's my thing is like I attempted it. Maybe I'll get there one day.
Yeah.
But my mother, she made it up about 7 miles. And she was like, "Where the hell is the end?" Well, a guy who was coming back down was like, "Honey, you might as well turn around." He's like, "You got another like 2 hours to go."
Oh, wow.
And it was coming up to be like almost 4 o'clock.
Wow.
So he was like, "If you need to turn around now, because if you don't, you're going to be hiking in the dark." And she didn't have a headlamp. And some of the trails on Guadalupe Peak is you're walking right on the edge of a mountain. So yeah, so she's mad she didn't make it. She made it back before dark. It was like about 6 o'clock when she made it back. I was already on the campsite because I drove to the visitor center to sit in the AC for a little bit, and
Yeah.
I wanted to use the visitor center Wi-Fi so I could actually get on social media for a minute
Yeah.
and post pictures and stuff. But so she was mad she didn't finish it, but I was like, you made it that far up. I mean, I would be proud.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
That's awesome. And plus too, it's like it's an adventure, it's fun, you still got a good mileage in, and then
yeah,
I think That's another thing you bring up, visitor centers. Those are so important. People really don't appreciate those like they should. And visitor centers are really important in any state. I mean, I love stopping at a visitor center to pick up maybe a map or a souvenir, take a little break.
No, I agree. I Texas, when we first drove into Texas, their visitor center is dope because they give you stickers that say "Don't mess with Texas" on them, and I have like a framed poster actually that says it, and it's really cool looking.
Yeah, no, I love it.
It's
I love those things, and I love when I'm coming down to visit you and Jim in Hendersonville from Louisville. You can stop at there's a Tennessee Welcome Center,
mhm.
there's a Kentucky Welcome Center, but there's visitor centers all over in a lot of states because of
Yeah.
access points. And one place that I actually stopped at because I love smash pennies. That's one of my favorite souvenirs. I love getting a smash penny. I have like smash penny passport books. I got freaking three I was looking at the other day, and I'm
Jesus Christ.
I love them. I love it. I love putting the penny and the couple quarters in and then turning the machine and getting that smash penny. So when I like going to Florida, of course, Pensacola, Navarre. We've vacationed together several times down there, and I actually love their visitor center down there because their visitor center has a smash penny machine. I don't know if it still does, but years ago it did. So it was really cool to stop and see that. I'd have to look it up. There's actually a website that tells you where every smash penny machine is in the United States. So
So I've actually never been to the Florida Welcome Center.
yeah, you should try it out because I'm telling
Well, we go the back way into Florida, so that's why.
yeah, oh, of course, but I'm saying just if you ever get bored or you're out trying to kill some
Oh
time,
my
go swing
God.
over to the visitor center. But no, I love any kind of souvenir. You do too. We're both souvenir people. So
Well, yeah, and with the national park ones, it's the not only do they have souvenirs like shirts, like I'm a sticker hoarder. I love stickers. Stickers are my big thing. Same with like little postcards.
mhm.
Um, and Florida's got tons and ton Florida, sorry, the national park visitor centers. Like White Sands had a huge selection. Guadalupe's wasn't huge, but they had a lot of good resources. Like I was chugging down Powerades some of these days. So, but yeah, so Guadalupe National Park, probably out of this trip, it was my third favorite because White Sands definitely was number two, and my ultimate favorite was Big Bend. So
Yeah.
Big Bend National Park is on the border of Texas and Mexico on the Guadalupe River. Um, if you look at the state of Texas and you look at the Panhandle and you follow your finger from El Paso and follow the Guadalupe, and then you get down to the dip, that is where Big Bend sits. Um,
You saw horses, right, with their farmers and stuff.
oh yeah, Big Bend was my favorite park out of the entire trip. It was, first of all, it is massively huge. We didn't even touch all of it yet. um, it's it's phenomenal. They have so much different plant life. They have a mountain range. The Chichos Mountains sit in Big Bend National Park. So again, you kind of have different vegetation because your climate's going to change just a little bit as you go up those mountains. Um, with Big Bend, we did hiking both on the border of Mexico and we did the Chichos, one of the little trails in Chichos. The first one we did was on the border of Mexico and the Guadalupe River. It's basically called the Santa Clara Canyon. It's basically just these giant cliff walls of stone, and it sits between the Guadalupe River, and then one side's Mexico and the other side's Texas. It was only like a mile and a half hike, 2 miles, so it wasn't long. But on this hike, this is where we saw the first sight of some random ass horses and cows. Um, they actually are called illegal livestock trespassing, and they come through from Mexico.
Oh, really? So they just crossed the border.
They just cross through the Rio and they will eat the vegetation. I mean, they're not doing any harm. I mean, yeah, they're eating grains, but they're also kind of fertilizing with their own, manure.
Mm.
And a lot of times the horses and cows, one of them will wear a bell. And so that way the ranchers can find their herd if they're
Oh,
not on their land.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
And so
And
are these pretty big cows and horses?
I mean, they're look the lot. There's a couple of mules, so I think they're not very big as far as I can tell. I mean, I don't particularly know what breed they may have been, but there was a lot of them because after we did that trail, we drove up to where a hot springs was. And that was again on the border of Mexico, where we walked over to Mexico on a dry spot of the Rio.
Oh
So we
wow.
actually went into Mexico for about 5 minutes.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, that's cool. You can do that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really cool because you see in I've seen in like TV shows like in California where like there's like a little fence wall and you could swim around it. You're
yeah,
in Mexico or you're back in America, so it's kind of crazy how the borders and all that stuff works. But
yeah.
would you say what would you say that those farmers besides having livestock? Is there anything that they're maybe farming down there?
I mean, those could be beef cows. I
Gotcha.
mean,
Hmm.
I wouldn't say it's anything illegal because one of the guys when he crossed the river, we were on top of a cliff, and he waved at us, and we waved back, and he just went on his way on his horse. And then another guy on his horse came by, and he was just whistling and singing and riding his horse. And I mean, they're not doing anything; they're just checking on their livestock.
That's cool.
Um, and so I didn't feel threatened. I felt fine. I wave at them, they wave back. And when we were at the hot springs, we saw more horses there and more bells. So they're all over Big Bend. Like these horses roam all over the park. And there's some of them with babies, and some of them are studs and some of them are not. It's just they're just minding their own business, eating the vegetation. They were eating dead pond prawns. And
Okay.
they were splashing in the water, cooling off and stuff. So
No, that's beautiful. That is beautiful because I've always wanted to see that, and I've always heard amazing things about Mexico, and and then going out in California, I was working on the San Diego border down there, real south. Like I ended up getting close to Tijuana, where I was delivering beer. They have all these grocery stores called El
yeah,
Supers and all that, so it was really cool to see. And then but to see the western part and the Rio Grande and all that stuff
yeah,
would be beautiful. So I think it's awesome y'all took that trip,
yeah,
and I know that when you got back to Tennessee, you had that national park book, and you've gotten some national park stuff. So what do you feel like you've not just that those national parks, but what have you felt like you've learned about the national park system? Like like for the listeners, why is it important? Because I believe they're important too, but I just want to get your perspective.
I mean, national parks preserve so much wildlife and vegetation and things we need in this environment to survive, like all the trees that they preserve because you can't cut them down, or vegetation that we need that may help coastal erosion. You can't touch that. It's and plus the animals and even insects, reptiles, fish, birds. You need to preserve certain things like I know Florida is big on protecting the manatees because they're endangered. So part of the Gulf Islands National Seashore is a big part. Is it important because it's also protecting the fish and wildlife there?
Yeah.
And when a national park tells you not to do something, they're telling you for a reason. One thing I've learned when I was hiking is they say don't do any backwoodsing, which basically is taking shortcuts, or do any trail hopping where you jump like with switchbacks. Example, if you know what a switchback is, it's basically a trail that does a zigzag. And people will cut through the zigzag to make it shorter, but you're damaging important vegetation that's helping it keep the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then if you're in Florida and you're in the Gulf Islands National Seashore and they say, hey, don't walk on the sand dunes, there's a reason because that vegetation and those sand dunes are protecting coastal erosion.
Mm-hmm.
They're protecting, trying not to get it past a certain point because it's basically like a nature's flood barrier is what it is.
Exactly.
But you don't walk across that, and they say that for a reason.
Yeah, people want to
Um,
follow rules. I mean, that's the thing. People always want to try to be a rule breaker or try to do stuff, and there's rules for a reason. And
and I can't tell you how much litter I've seen even on trails. State parks, national parks, people just leave their shit there. Or, you can see where they damage wildlife. Like the big thing I saw in Guadalupe was people, and in Big Bend even, people were carving crosses out of cactuses and stuff like that. And it's like you're killing the vegetation doing that,
Hmm.
you
It's,
know?
it's let stuff be the way it is, and let people enjoy it, and and that, like, there's just certain things you shouldn't touch or do. I mean, the thing you brought up about manatees, I love manatees. The When I went to New Smyrna when I was a kid, I remember seeing the manatees and stuff. But see, people don't realize if you're swimming with the manatee, they're so federally protected. They might, a lot of them here recently, and I know researchers are trying to figure it, a lot of them will come up to humans and they'll like hug them or maybe hug their leg. You're actually not allowed to like hug back or pet it and stuff. You're kind of letting it do its thing, because at the end of the day, you have to draw a line and protect it. And the same thing with the area that me, you, and Jim like to go down in Florida with the sea turtles. They're very protected. It's very important. So I just think what you brought up, it's very key to keep things the way they are, because they're there in a way for a reason. But also, if there's a rule, just follow the rule. Just
Yeah.
things are safe.
And not to mention, national parks also preserve just the natural beauty of America. I
Yeah,
mean, you go further west and you see things like, the arches in Utah or Yosemite Mountain or like the sequoias in California. It's just all of nature's beauty and what nature and science can do.
and that's what
And
you bring up a good point. What it is the beauty of America, because all these parks are in so many different areas of the United States, and so you're getting the essence of each factor, and like you said, something may be different out west that's different up northeast and stuff like that, but it's cool that they are protected, and at the end of the day, if they're not protected, those things are going to go away. I mean, that's just,
exactly.
you
I
know
mean,
how.
look what happened in Gatlinburg and the Great Smoky Mountains back a couple of years ago when those two stupid kids set the fires out there. I mean, they burned down so much of the vegetation out in that area that is protectant, and thankfully now it's growing back, but still, it's you don't want to see that kind of stuff get destroyed by some dumbasses. And even like I said, littering again, as simple as stupid as that is, it can cause massive danger. I mean, especially along coastlines.
Yeah.
I mean, I do a beach cleanup every year in Florida when I go, or twice a year if I can, where I just take about an hour of my time and go walk the beach and pick up litter. And you would imagine what we find.
That's awesome. No, that's important, and that's great you do that, and and I think to be honest with you, the beach and the animals in the community, thank you for that, because people need to do more of that. A lot of people, especially that tourist aspect, they think, oh, well, I don't have to live here or deal with that. I'm just gonna leave that
Yeah.
here. And I see that a lot. Even in Louisville, you'll see people in just some of the regular parks here. We got a great park system in Louisville, just city parks, and I get really frustrated because I'll see a bunch of stuff left by like the basketball court, but there's literally a trash can that's like maybe a half a mile away.
Yep.
Like, it's
Same
like,
thing with the state parks here. My mom and I point it out all the time, or we are on the trail and we have the space in our bags. We'll pick up someone's trash
yeah.
just
I mean, I
because.
don't,
And I,
I'm just like you. I'm not ashamed of it. It's like I rather it look clean, and I don't. Plus, it's like, who wants an animal to eat that, or mistaking that for a food item, especially if they're really hungry? It's like,
exactly.
and that's another reason that I know that you all do it too. That's a reason if I buy soda 6 pack or something, have the plastic rings, I
Yeah.
cut them up and all that stuff. It's like, because that can go into the waters and affect an animal or fish. But yeah, I think that's definitely important. Talking about fires, we both know, and everybody that's listening, tuning in, if they've been following any kind of news, California and the Los Angeles area is on fire.
Yep.
Um, I'm not gonna, I don't get, like everybody knows, I don't get super political or religious or conspiracy on here, but of course, there's conspiracy theories spreading and all that stuff. But the main thing is it's global warming, it's the winds, it's also
Climate change is very, 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 very real.
very real. And right now in Louisville, we've already had two snowstorms in a week. You all have snow in Tennessee now. I mean, I've seen now between the two snowstorms over a foot. I haven't
I
seen
mean,
this in years, and I know that, you know, and what's crazy is tomorrow it's going to be almost close to 40 degrees here. So it's like such a drastic change. But in
well,
California,
the erratic weather systems, it's all tied to climate change. There's
exactly.
a reason why hurricanes are stronger,
Mhm.
tornadoes are more devastating and stronger, why we're having more catastrophic flooding in the East Coast, and it's all tied to climate change. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't care what your political stance is or what you think or what, your church may say, but it's climate change. It's very real. The earth is on fire. I mean, literally, it is like burning up.
yes,
It's
and
and
that's
this is
what.
this it's this shit's going to continue to happen. It's going to get worse. It's going to continue. I cannot wait to see what spring brings with severe weather.
Exactly, because
I cannot wait to see this and
you're
how
completely
early it's going to start.
yeah, you're completely right. I mean, it is the ozone's damage, the global warming, climate change. I mean, it's real, and science is real. And at the end of the day, you have to realize that with the climate change, like you said, it's not going to get better. It's not going
No,
to change overnight.
no.
And yes, it's important to do things to help the environment, but right now where we're at, it is just drastically getting worse. And the thing about it too is, you know, I'm only 35, but I already feel the difference in weather over the years and in certain parts of the year that, oh man, this is a lot warmer than it was, or this is a lot warmer winter than it is. But you can also see too, like I've dove into recently with all this stuff going on, is a lot of these weather YouTube experts and channels, and they tell you it's crazy. I mean, it's like there was an artificial intelligence picture. These AI pics get extreme now.
I fucking hate this AI picture
Yeah,
shit.
it's
It's
extreme.
so misleading.
It is. It's very misleading. And I'm not a fan of it either, and I get very mad about it. But the one thing about it is there was an AI picture that somebody did, and it literally had the United States split down the middle. And right side was all snow, left side was on fire. And yeah, of course that's not true. But the thing about it
Oh,
was,
I think I've seen this.
yeah, it was interesting to see though, because if you really think about it, that's how much of a difference it is on both sides of the country. And the deal with the California fires is like, you know, the winds are so crazy and the way it looks out there is insane. And
Yeah.
you learn and learn more about from these rich people and these people that have these big places. Some of them have thought about this stuff. That's why a few houses and mansions and random places have stayed up, because they either built something with fire protecting or a certain
Well,
material.
it's just like the people along the Gulf Coast who are building their homes to withstand Category 5 winds.
Hmm,
I mean, because they're just going to keep getting stronger. And, look at the places in Hawaii, all those places that burned down. Um, I think it was back in 2023. I mean, one home stood up because someone built with a fire retardant material. Um, and then again, in Florida, someone built a home that was able to withstand Cat 5 winds and was one of the only homes standing after Michael. I mean, it's just, you have to keep building these homes stronger
yes.
just to withstand the winds. Like here in the South, where we are in Tennessee and Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, I can keep going on. We need homes to withstand strong, severe winds from tornadoes. Or better yet, what builders can start offering people are tornado shelters in their homes.
Yes.
Like while their homes are getting constructed and you are in an area that has been hit or a surrounding area that has been hit by, like, say, a category, not category, sorry, like an EF3 tornado or stronger, and say it's been hit multiple times in that area, your builder, if you're building a home, should offer you an option to have a tornado shelter placed in while your home is being built.
I agree because they need that, especially in the Great Plains area too, as well. A lot of these areas that are just known to have that weather year round, and I believe so too. When you talk about material and building things stronger, I mean, I'm so thankful for living in a brick place. I love brick. I love how it can withstand stuff, and I think too, you can see too, like even if a storm comes through this area here in Kentucky, you can see the apartments that were built cheaper and quick. You see these places get built so quick and fast. And a lot of them can't withstand because they're using quick material, cheaper material. And you see a lot of these places that are older that are sticking around because they used good material and solid things. I mean, we've driven through in the Florida area and I've seen, like you were saying, I've seen places that are still around because you can just tell by looking at it they built it the right way. You can almost tell now with your eyes what's bad, what's good, and what could withstand something and what couldn't.
Well, in states like Florida, it's when you're building a home, you have to follow a set of guidelines made by the state. So that's the other thing with, especially around coastal areas, you're required to follow a guideline of building. So when you're building a home in Florida, you have to be so far up off of land, you have to have a certain type of window possibly so that way you can not just get shattered immediately if you
Exactly.
don't have like hurricane shutters or something. But I really do think though that the southeast in general, not I mean the Midwest, most homes there have a basement, so that's a good safe spot. But the southeast is the big hitter, the big hitter. Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, Kentucky. Builders really need to think about tornado shelters and new homes.
Yeah,
I
because
just
the bathroom can't always be the place, and two, it's like,
Well,
you
and then
know,
apartment complexes.
yeah,
They
yeah,
should have a community tornado shelter in prone areas. They should have a communal tornado shelter where your apartment complex can fit all these people in there or have like multiple little pods or something that
mhm.
can withstand an EF5 tornado. I actually did see that in one area out in Texas. They had a communal little pod town area where everyone went during a tornado warning.
No, that's important. I didn't even think about that. That's a great point because it would be important to have some place like that. And I think too, with global warming and with climate change, people got to start taking this into effect because you're going to see weather different in certain areas. What I
You're
was
going
saying,
to see it just get stronger and stronger and worse.
exactly in the Ohio
And it's,
where I'm at, it's different. It's completely different now than what it was.
I mean, think about this. In 2020, a tornado came through downtown Nashville. Last year, Houston, downtown Houston, had severe sustained winds up to 80 to 90 miles an hour cut through the city. If we're getting that close to a city, there was tornadoes close to New Orleans 2 years ago. I
Yeah.
mean, come on.
Yeah, and that's just it's stuff that's unheard of. And these cities too were built for a certain reason in the areas they are at, and now they're getting affected. I mean, the deal with Los Angeles with these fires. Two things I want to touch on that was one thing. There was an art museum out there, and thankfully they built it to prevent fires. And it's like one of the only things withstand. It has a bunch of Roman art, and you can just see how even though it withstood it, it still was a risk. It still was scary, and people were still like, "Oh, is this going to get touched?" But besides being the winds, it's just crazy how it can spread in different multiple areas, and that's why I'm continuously checking because I have friends out there, but also I don't want it to get into the city, and that's the thing that people I don't think are taking into effect that even if you live out there, it can get so close just like that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and no matter what conspiracy you think of, no matter what wind you think, what the winds calm down tonight. Like I keep reading these news articles. Oh, the winds calm down a little bit. No, it's going to keep getting worse. I mean, there was literally 85-mile-per-hour winds at one point with the fires and just everything going on, and so people just have to take that in effect. And also, I just have to say, fuck you to all the people that have hired private firefighters. You are literally damaging and destroying what they're trying to fight and do. And then also, it's like, fuck these having the convict people out there fighting the fires for $1. I mean, it's just, yeah, I could touch on so many things with it, but it's just,
Well, I
we
will say the positive thing is the Hispanic firefighters are actually out there helping.
Yeah, they are in Canada. Canada's came in with a lot of planes, and people want to help, and I think it's awesome. There, Steve Gutenberg, shout out to him from Police Academy movies in the '80s. He's moving cars. He's in the neighborhood, and the big thing too is it's like this is just a time to realize. I also have to say, not to keep cussing. I mean, I cuss. We say whatever on here, but it's like fuck you also to people that I get it. I understand celebs are rich and spoiled,
Oh God, yeah, I
but
know.
you celebrating someone's house fire
No,
is
no,
completely disgusting and it's fucked up. And I'll be honest with you. I don't care if you got $1 in your pocket or millions. No one deserves their shit burned.
no,
So don't. It can happen to you the next year at your place. So don't sit there just because you're pissed about your situation and be like, "Oh man, I love seeing Paris Hilton's house burn." I don't care how you feel about Paris Hilton. She could be the dumbest person in the world, but at the end of the day, you should. I don't give a fuck what insurance or money she's got. You don't wish that upon anybody.
no,
Same thing out here. I've seen people talk, literally competing over the snow trucks. Oh, my area looks better than yours. Fuck it. It's like, guys, at the end of the day, we're fucking the community. We're fucking people together. We're one fucking tribe of humans. It don't matter what you are. We're humans, and at the end of the day, we got to support each other. And if you are wishing that stuff or you're like celebrating that stuff, you're really fucked up and twisted. And I just have to say that. And
and I like fucked up and twisted shit.
exactly, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day,
But
yeah,
that's not cool.
yeah. Like I mean, I'm sitting here. I can sit here and watch, pro wrestling and people hit each other with chairs and tables and shit like that. But at the end of the day, on a serious note, when I'm watching this stuff, I'm just wanting the best for everybody. And at the end of the day, it's just give us some fucking peace for a day. And at the end of the day, it's like just if if you are watching this, no matter what weather, snow or fire, wish the best for your fellow man and woman. Don't and wish the best for the animals. That's the biggest thing.
A big shout out to Compton Cowboys and Yollywood on Instagram. They're out there moving horses,
Yeah, and so
evacuating
that's what's
horses.
important. People got to help these things. And so at the end of the day, if you hate people and you're like this person that's like, oh, the world's against me, I hate everybody. At the end of the day, just think about the animals and think about the things that are helpless out there and realize
How
that
about all the precious memories people are losing?
memories, things. I mean, perfect example about celebrities and stuff. Just to talk about it for real quick. I get it. I get it. A lot of them can do more. But the thing about it is this: Joan Rivers, she's been dead, a fashion person. She, of course, had been controversial over the years or whatever. She passed away. But like her daughter, I guess went to Joan's house before it burned and grabbed some stuff from her mother. At the end of the day, no matter how you feel about Joan, I'm not sitting here like, oh, I'm a Joan Rivers fan. I love Joan. But at the end of the day, her daughter was affected because she don't see her mom as a celeb. She saw her mom as mother. So
Yep.
she wanted to get some memories. So think about that and just put yourself in perspective. But again, humans don't like to put themselves in other people's shoes. So at the end of the day, you have to think about that and you have to take that into effect. I want to talk about the horse situation real quick. And this is kind of a broader question, but you and I have talked about this on the podcast before about horses like in winter weather that you and I are dealing with now here in the southeast of snow and ice and stuff like that. And we know they get thicker coats, they can withstand, and there's covers and different things. You and I have talked about that, and I've seen it. But okay, what when a horse is not around a human and this fire element comes around, how does a horse react to fire compared to the coat? I know that they're not going to walk up to you like, oh, I love fire, but I'm saying, are they just kind of like, do they let it get to a close point or are they fucking running as soon as they see a spark?
I mean, it just depends. I mean, if your horse is out in the field, I mean, they're not stupid. They can sense danger.
I'm talking about more like the
So,
wild horses. Like, do you think that they?
oh, they would, I mean, they can still sense it. I
Yeah,
mean, they know that fire is not good, that something's not right, and they'll move away from it.
gotcha. I was just curious because fire and snow and blizzards sometimes it's not maybe an animal's dealt with it. It's their
I
first.
mean, just like with when there's tornadic weather in this area and we have severe like tornado warnings or something, I want my horse in the field because it
Mhm.
can run.
Gotcha.
Because if it's in the barn, it's gonna get probably gonna die or get hurt. But as for wild horses, I mean, they're not stupid. They can sense when something's not right.
Gotcha. I was curious about that because I didn't know. I just didn't know how sometimes maybe they would sense it. But it is really good seeing the people that are rescuing their animals and are definitely trying to save what's out there. I was talking to my friend Anthony Guida, Nick Guida's brother. I call him Buffalo Tone. That's a whole other story. But anyways, Buffalo Tone. We were talking, and he's in the Los Angeles area. And he's been sending me pictures and videos, and that's what me and him were talking about. It's just the worrisome about the animals and the wildlife, but that's why I'm really hoping they can get this under control because even if stuff has been burned, I'm hoping a lot of these animals that have not been actually touched by the fire, but maybe their environment has, they can try to migrate or move somewhere else. But that's another thing that people have to take into effect. You know, like perfect example that not to get off a random topic, but like moose, for example. That's an animal that is big in Russia, Norway, and Scandinavia area. I saw them in Norway, but over in Russia,
They're in Canada.
yeah, in Canada, yeah, Canada too. But over in Russia, when they were the University of Moscow or something like that, there's a picture from the 60s and the moose are so close to campus and they're just walking by and it just showed how animals and humans, and same thing in Africa, how a lot of these wild animals will get like close to Johannesburg and maybe Laos, Nigeria, where they're coming into or Nairobi in
Or
Kenya.
just how about just in Gatlinburg, the black bears coming into the candy store?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Animals when they're affected, it's not that they're trying to attack humans or come out. They're just trying to
We're
a place
invading
to
their space.
yeah, they're looking for survival and yeah, and we're touching their space. So I just think that's something that especially in California and especially out here when some of this weather and different things happen, we have to take into effect that animals might get closer and at the end of the day you got to navigate life with that and let them be because this is their world too and they can't speak. I mean, yeah, I would love to go outside and see the squirrel that literally hangs in my tree every day. I mean, he comes literally. I have a squirrel that comes to my front door. I'll walk out. I'll be like, "Oh shit, hey, what's up, buddy?" And he'll walk down with me sometimes, or he'll be chilling. He bothers me not at all. But I would love for to walk out one day and him be like, "What up, dog?" But at the end of the day, it's they can't speak. And so like the first day this blizzard came, I took a picture and I posted on social media. He was about frozen. He was trying to move, trying to get to his little house. And at the end of the day, he finally, thank God, didn't die and got into his house. But it's like, he couldn't speak or he couldn't just say, "Hey man, let me in your living room for a minute. I'm cold." And so that's where we just have to think about the animals and the wildlife and stuff. But talking about that, what I've really liked to see, especially with the snow, to get off the fire subject, the snow. I'm a huge zoo guy, of course.
Oh
The
my God.
Louisville Zoo and the St. Louis Zoo, they've had like the St. Louis Zoo, for example, the tigers were out running around in the snow, loving it. The polar bears are loving it. I love when the animals get to enjoy these elements and something different. A lot of these animals that are known to live in one particular area of the world, there's sometimes in a city, a zoo that gets 4 different seasons. So they get to enjoy it, and it's kind of fun to see the elements of how would a lion do in this, or what's the giraffe? How's the giraffe enjoying the snow, or shit like that. So I like seeing that stuff, and I think it's cool to be able to see. But it's also shout out to the zookeepers. I mean, no matter what weather, they're out there every day, and they're
That's just like us horse people. We're always out in the elements.
yeah. I mean, you have literally your horse. He's vibing in all the elements, so it's wild to see. Something that I also want to touch on is so I believe we talked about it a little bit in the last season episode, which again I wrapped up last season around May, so it's been a while. But Steve-O is and a fellow podcaster. He is living in the Portland, Tennessee area. He's bought a farm slash sanctuary for animals with him and his wife, and they got a beautiful home. I'm not going to share his address out of respect for him. I did find his address and found his listing, and I look forward when I'm down there again visiting to just GPS.
Let's just say my mom's just across the main road.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I love just the GPS just to see the entrance. But what's cool is Christine's husband Jim, he's a fellow biker, and so is Steve-O. Steve-O's really on a big fitness journey as of late. He's got a daily routine. He's really serious about fitness and his body, which of course we all know Steve-O in the day didn't give a fuck about his body. So now he's really taking that into effect, and I'm happy for him. But he rides a bike trail that me, you, and Jim have rode several times, going
In the car, by the way.
From Hendersonville to Portland. And so I hope one day we'll be able to see him out and about. He's super friendly guy, but I just think it's really cool. He moved of all places and of all people in in the celebrity world, fucking Steve-O. But
Portland, Tennessee.
Portland, Tennessee, and he's really got a cool property, and he's really big on kind of exploring it. And I think what's really cool too is that he's kind of already gotten to know his property, and he knows where areas where like he likes to hike more, or he likes to drive his thing, or he likes to
Yeah.
take animals. So when you see his property, yes, he's got a huge home compound, but the land and the acreage around him has been just really cool. And I think he's doing great with the animals. Another person I like to shout out is Jelly Roll and Bunny XO, his wife, Jelly, who, shit, I've known Jelly from back when I was at Nashville at AI. Jelly Roll, he went from rap into country music. And even if you're not a fan of his music, I'm not sitting here like I bop Jelly every day, but I respect him. He's taken off huge, but
He's a good dude.
a good dude, and he's really cleaned his life up. And the thing that's great is him and his wife here this past week, they got 3 cows, and they're building a farm, and they're actually looking at bigger land. Well, Jelly, he's got kids, he's got his wife, so those cows were mainly for the wife and kids, and he enjoyed them. He went out. Well, the next day he was kind of in his feels after he got the cows, and he was like, well, I don't kind of have one for myself or anything. So he got a donkey, and the donkey's awesome, and that's his donkey. So the donkey is adorable, and it's
Where
really
did he get land at?
somewhere outside of Nashville, Tennessee. I'll have to research, but they're already looking at another property. Bunny, who is friends with my friend Paige. Shout out to Paige, who's been on the show before. That's kind of why I followed Bunny's content, because of Paige, and seeing the land that they're doing. It's definitely in the Tennessee area, because I know Jelly loves Nashville and it's where he's from. But
I
um,
bet they went. I bet they went when all the other celebrities went. They probably went down to Williamson County.
yeah, probably somewhere down there. But at the end of the day, I'm just glad that they're using the space for animals, and,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what maybe how many more they can get. And I think too, it just shows how important animals are, and I like that celebs give back to that. And also too, it's like I I I want to, the older I get, spend more time at these sanctuaries and go places. A lot of zoos. Shout out to the San Diego Zoo. Shout out to the Columbus Zoo. They have actually branched out and opened up safari parks. So, like in Cumberland, Ohio, there's the Wilds, which is a drive-through safari park where animals can literally just roam, and you got all kinds. And they do that in San Diego. San Diego, My parents got to go there. They had a blast. They went in October for Breeders' Cup for their wedding anniversary.
Yep, your dad texted me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, they had a blast. They went out there. Breeders' Cup was great for them. They went to the San Diego Zoo, saw the pandas. I was really happy they got to go out there. They had a perfect trip. And the zoo out there, it competes with Cincinnati all the time for number one. Cincinnati will win number one, then San Diego will win number one in the United States. Well, San Diego has a wild park 30 minutes away. Same thing. And that's why, shout out to Robin again, Toronto, why I love Toronto so much. When I spoke about this several seasons ago, but when I went to Toronto with my friend Eddie back in the day, we were 2 hours south of Toronto, but we were in the Ontario area. And they had a giant safari park. And it was like Jurassic Park. You pay 25 bucks, you go in. But what's hilarious is I love telling the story that the first part you drive in and there's somebody like Jurassic Park standing there with a sniper rifle on this big thing as you're driving your car in, and I'm like, what the hell? Well, then it says keep your hands to yourself, keep your windows rolled up, yada yada. Well, you go in and I look at Eddie and it's just cows, goats, sheep, and I'm like, okay, this is a little extreme. Well, then I get to the second gate and it opens up. It's just lions everywhere. Lions in my car. There's a lion literally looking at me in my car window. But it was incredible. The more doors you went through, they had different checkpoints, but you got into this one part that was just this huge African area where you had wildebeest, ostriches, baboons. Literally, they told me before, hey, is this a rental? I said, yeah, it's a Chrysler 200 rental I got from Enterprise at the airport.
Chrysler 200.
They were like, do you want to take this into the thing? And I looked at Eddie, I said, fuck it. So we got on a bus, but we took our car. Well, I looked at Eddie and I said, hey, nobody's fucked with our car. None of these animals. Next thing you know, 5 minutes later, there's a fucking baboon on my hood. Jumping on the hood, and I was like, oh god, Enterprise is gonna be like, these two jackasses brought the car back and their excuse is a baboon jumping in Ontario, Canada, of all places. Like Enterprise will really fucking buy that. But once you got to the last part, it was super cool because they had reindeer, moose, and some like more like elk and like more winter animals that would be in that area. So you got to touch on everything, but those places are definitely coming around more. I know they're overseas too, but it was really cool. Something I want to talk about because I like mentioning different food and drinks on here. You had shared with me recently. I know it's random, but we're talking about Canada. What's this water that you
Oh
found?
God.
What is
If
it?
you're it's from the 90s. It's Canadian that clearly Canadian.
So
It's
you really
flavor.
enjoyed it, right?
Yeah, I used to drink it back then. I used to beg my mom for it. It's basically just bubbly water with flavoring.
Okay. What flavoring do you like in yours?
My favorite clearly Canadian one is the blackberry is my top one. Then wild cherry and then raspberry.
Wait, they have a wild cherry.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, that
It's
sounds
really good.
really good.
Just make sure you don't let it get flat because once it gets flat, the fun's gone.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So
Because it's super bubbly. Like when it's in your mouth, if you feel like you almost have like pop rocks in your mouth.
oh, okay. So it's like a seltzer almost, kind of.
Yeah, just super bubbly. It's just like I said, it's from the fucking 90s. I just remember it from back then.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, when you sent it to me, I was like, "That's really cool," and I had not tried it, but now I'm kind of on the hunt to look for it once this
Go
web.
find you probably have it at Meyer.
Yeah, shout out to Meyer, by the way. I want to say something about my local Meyer. I freaking got everything I need at my local Meyer, and I did not deal with like anything insane besides like just there was a lot of people out, but I got my snow boots, I got my other shoes, I got all my food and groceries, and I went to other places and like literally, man, Kroger was ransacked. And what is so crazy? I'm a big banana guy, of course, and I love bananas in the morning. And how many freaking places were out of bananas was insane. But it just, especially when this kind of weather hits, people go to and grab, you know, what they think can last the longest or
Well,
get.
let's clear it up. It's people in the South, people in the Midwest and Northeast. This is fucking normal.
Yeah,
I
yeah, this is a typical fucking Tuesday for them. They're like, hey, this ain't no big deal.
mean,
So,
I'm just saying, like when Jim got to the group, he went to Publix,
mm,
and he was like, Publix was a fucking wreck. It's like the entire store was raped.
oh yeah, oh man, it's insane. I mean, people go crazy, and what's wild too is like they have paved some of these grocery store parking lots, and it's funny. It's like you see this big snow mountain where they pushed everything into this
Yep.
fucking mini mountain, and it's like,
So I love to run up those mountains and jump off of them.
well, that's what I'm waiting to see. It's like people just somebody with the freaking pickaxe hiking that thing.
No, we so last year was it? It was last year or the year before we had a big snow come through, and that's what happened to our parking lot at work. Is we had a snow mountain,
Oh,
and we weren't really busy. I think we actually were closing at 2 o'clock that day. And I was running up a bit and jumping, and one of the doctors comes out. His name was, he was like, Christine, you're going to hurt yourself. Get inside.
oh my gosh, I could see that phone call to Jim. Hey, Christine got hurt. Oh God, is it a health thing, like medical thing? What? She jumped off the snow mountain in the parking lot.
Well, he knows I do that shit.
I can just hear Jim's reaction. Jesus Christ. So, oh, that'd be hilarious. But no, that is fun. That's a lot of
It's
fun.
very fun. Just like kicking, like apparently it's a Midwest thing, but kicking the fucking ice chunks off the bottom of the car.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That and I like seeing. I mean, I never want one to fall on me, but I love looking up and seeing the icicles, and then when those things
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah,
fall, it's
yeah.
like refreshing to see it just break on the ground. Like I had a like
It's
my
like glass.
oh yeah, like my broom and shovel that I got and just started hitting my stairs because my complex waited like 2 to 3 days to hit it, and I was like, I'm gonna do this myself, and I started doing it, and it's just like, hey, this is actually kind of refreshing. But it's a lot of things that people don't take into effect either. Is that the also thing I want to tell people just that are listening, especially that have been affected by the snow. Um, Quit posting on social media that why do they plow the snow to the side on me? And okay, they don't plow freaking personal public space. They do the private lane. They do the private roads. They're not there to go hit your driveway. You think they are going to hit every driveway in your city? Quit.
That's your responsibility.
Exactly. Go buy a fucking shovel or borrow a shovel. Quit telling all the first responders, all the people, oh, well, you fucking boxed me in. Well, no shit. I understand people have older medical problems. I get it. But at the end of the day, you have to take this into effect. And also, too, they're not going to just stop and say, let me help Willie Joe here on
No.
his sidewalk and let me help Betsy Sue on her sidewalk. No, you can't do that. Now, I will say this. Shout out to all the people hustling that have gone to help businesses, help restaurants, have
Yeah,
made
because we saw a private one when we went to Casa yesterday. He
yeah,
had his
yeah, okay, this is where I'll say this. Don't private firefight, but private snow shovel and do that. That's fine and safe. You're helping, you're doing it. If you're
yeah.
private firefight, you're taking fucking water from other victims. But when you're doing snow and ice removal, you're just helping your fellow
No,
man.
that's dope. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And also make some money. But I will say this. Shout out and good karma to every man and woman I saw on social media that said, I'll come help. Just pay me whatever you think that I deserve for helping. And I bet you they got more money offering that because people were like, "Hey, this guy ain't a fucking prick. He's not overcharged me." But at the end of the day, too, again, another fuck you. Fuck you to all the motherfuckers, especially the guy. I can't think of what restaurant it was downtown in Louisville, but some fucking guy made a fucking Facebook profile and started accepting deposits to come, but he never
Oh,
showed up and was a lawn and pretended he was a lawn care company.
oh
Fuck
no.
and bad karma to you because you're taking money from a business or a person who thinks you're going to come and help either get them out or get people in, and then you're just fucking taking the money. But People have been getting scammed their whole fucking life. Also, too, if you did send a deposit, make better decisions and do a little research. It's really easy to see a
Yeah.
profile was made 3 days ago with a fucking fake ass logo. So don't just send $100 over and say, "I'll see you at 2 p.m." They're not coming. They're not coming. And also, too, you're not gonna find them. If it says J&S Lawn Care, I think that was the name of this place, like some random initial lawn care, that could be fucking jalapeno Susan. I mean, the fucking special celebrity that sells tortilla chips. I don't fucking know. At the end of the day, don't follow the fucking initials. Don't just or a fucking random lawn care company. Do some research, and also it's like just use some common sense. But also quit fucking scamming people. When people are
Truth.
dealing with this shit, it's the worst fucking time to deal with that and hear that. And also I want to shout out, I can't even name the brand or do it, but if you want to get one, there's fucking 500 people that probably make them. I bought this thing for my front windshield that I
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
shut
It
my door,
covers it.
yeah, covers it. And I'm gonna be honest, it has made things so much easier. It's protected my window. There's no fucking risk of cracking. And a lot of people are like, that buy them, they'll be like, "Hey, let me put my windshield wipers." Oh no, you put them over top the windshield wipers, and they actually protect the overall freeze, and they kind of make them warm. So everything with my car and that factor has been great.
Our neighbor has one.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And to be honest, I've never had one until now. I've always used one when it's super sunny out. I put the silver thing just to kind of
We
protect.
have one of those, yeah.
But that can be a pain in the ass and ass. But this, just having to use it a few days, it's great. And then you just pop it in your leather bag, and it works. Now, when I put it on the first time, you have to tie it to the side mirrors, and I was like, I'm out there like, gosh damn, I should have wore fucking gloves for this shit. But I got that motherfucker on. But it was definitely something great, and it's definitely a factor. And the more and more the older I get, I'm starting to realize they make a product
For
for
everything.
literally
Hmm.
every single.
Hmm.
So I was going to ask you. So what's Summer and Turk's reaction to the snow?
It doesn't bother Summer, and we have to dig a pathway for Turk.
Okay, but do they so but you can probably tell they kind of are probably like, ooh, this is cool, like this is something different.
I mean, Summer doesn't really care. Turk, I don't think likes it because it touches his belly and it's just cold on him. So,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the Huskies out and about, and they
oh
love
yeah,
they're
my
love.
mom's my mom's shepherd loves it.
Oh, I bet. I didn't think about that. The shepherd. I love that shepherd. That German shepherd is so much fun. I always
Saki.
get, yeah, Saki. I always get pumped when I come down to visit Christine and Jim, and then I randomly walk in, and I'm like, oh fuck, there's three dogs here, and then like Saki's a vibe, and if Jim and Christine are walking the others, I like to take Saki on a leash and get her running, and I remember we went on a walk and I wore Saki out. Saki was back. We got back to the house and Saki's at the window. Holy shit, who is this guy? He
Well,
will.
her favorite thing is ball, and you got a good throwing arm, so she likes when you play ball with her.
Oh yeah, I'll launch that bad boy and Saki will grab it and then just come running back and it's a lot of fun. And then what's funny about Saki, Paula, Christine's mom has Ray as well, and
That
Ray,
little pipsqueak.
a little pipsqueak dachshund that's furry, and it's hilarious. But the thing that's funny is Ray wants to be Saki, so Ray
Hmm.
goes to the ball. Ray falls everywhere Saki goes, so Ray is like, "Oh, I can do this shit too." But then Ray will go grab a ball, and the ball's bigger than his.
Yep.
And I'm like Ray, you gotta drop that. But shout out to Saki and Ray and Paula. They're great dogs, and I've always had fun with that. Before we get off, I want to say one other thing I want to talk about. You last time we had talked, you have moved your horse to another place, so I just wanted you to have an opportunity to shout out where your horse is at, and if anybody listening has have a horse in that area, just that's definitely a place to take it.
Yeah, Willie's now at Santa Creek Ranch up in Portland by my mom's. So shout out to them and Mandy and William, who are bracing the cold, taking care of all the horses, and horses are happy and they're all in their little winter blankets. And I know Willie likes to. Willie doesn't mind this weather as long as he's got his blankie on. So, but they're out there doing the hard work, and I appreciate them for that.
Yeah, they're good people. I met them
They're good
before.
people. Yeah.
I love their farm dogs. I have a blast with them. They're absolutely a blast. Like they got farm dogs and these farm cats, and they are absolutely
It's
fun.
a very, very safe, clean facility, and Mandy and William do a hell of a job keeping up with it. So,
Oh yeah, it's hard work, and I got a lot of respect for them, and it's cool. So, well, Christine, I want to appreciate you coming on. We dove into a lot of topics. It's always fun. People listen to your episodes, like I said, always learn something, and that's a lot of big factor for me. I want people to learn something and take something away. So, before I do my sign off, tell them how they can always reach out, or your email, or Insta, or whatever.
Instagram, washed up equestrian, easiest thing. I'm
Yeah,
on there all the time.
if you want to ask her about wild parks or national parks, wildlife, horses. She's always a person to talk to. Weather. Christine's very friendly and chill. Christine will never, be like, "Oh, fuck off." She'll help you out and give you.
Unless you're a dick. If you're a dick, then
Yeah,
the bitch will come out.
exactly. But no, but Christine will definitely someone to reach out to, especially if you want to get into the horse world or learn. She knows all about it. She knows products. She can recommend stuff. And if you have horses and you're trying to try something new, she's definitely someone to reach out to. And shout out to Jim, Summer, and Turk as well. But yes, vibingwithsleazy.com is the website. Check it out. I did mention this on episode 1. I had connected again with AJ, who has been working on my website the past couple of years. I'm trying to connect with him again here soon to find out maybe the update of him getting. I think I have close to 4 seasons, or maybe even the fifth season up. I want to see how we can get the other seasons on, and then also he was talking about maybe switching over to a different format with it. So I want to see about that. But either way, check it out. All my episodes are on all platforms, so you can listen to all 5 seasons plus season 6 here on Spotify, Apple. There's over 32 plus platforms. And I'm hoping too we grow more countries. I'm at 35. So again, shout out to Singapore and Denmark as the most recent people. I really continue like those listens, but I want to again thank Christine. I want to thank everybody for listening. I got more guests, more things coming. I got a great guest coming here towards the end of the week. But if you're dealing with the fire, if you're dealing with the snow, stay safe, stay smart. Don't do anything stupid. Don't take your car if you don't have to. And then also
Don't break the law.
break the law. And then with these fire things, just realize if you think parts of the country aren't, and you're out in LA and you're like nobody's really realizing what we're all thinking about you. We're all sending the best wishes, and we want what's best, and we're hoping everything stops. And at the end of the day, let's have a good spring, and hopefully the weather can get better in all areas. But thank you all. This was season 6, episode 2. Christeen Hernandez, and I'm out. Vibing with Sleazy, the podcast. Peace.
Bye.